Good afternoon. It's another day of talking about the Congo, and we're going to continue talking about our social business that we're anticipating starting with the agricultural farm, Pachikoko, and we are going to talk about the idea of how do you protect yourself against losses. I think that's going to be one of the issues with farming is that most places and a lot of places, and even in some developing countries, they have what they have is crop insurance, where the farmers either join a co-op or somehow they're getting insurance. And what that does is protect them against losses. The same way we have insurance to protect our autos, our house, our personal property, liability insurance, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the same thing will be needed in even our farmers. Our farmers have insurance that uh, and it will protect them. So, insurance will protect the farmer against acts of God. You know, that's floods. Uh, if it rains too much and the crop is flooded or is it won't grow. We've had that here in Indiana for a while, where the crops were too uh, flooded. The fields were too flooded to plant. After they just got planted, they were flooded a lot. You can also have the possibility of droughts. Uh, and those would be that you got your plants in and they're growing, and all of a sudden there's no rain and their growth is stunted, and you don't produce as much. Then you can have diseases. We don't have that much diseases, I don't think here. I haven't heard about it because our farmers they use a lot of pesticides and things like that, and so they don't have a lot of diseases. But in countries such as Congo, you could have a lot of diseases that would make uh, farming very difficult. Uh, if there is some locusts come through and something that comes through and destroys the crop. So you also may or may not be insured against acts of war. Uh, there in the Congo, we had a civil unrest in 2017 and extended into 2018, where farmers were not, well, just they couldn't get into their fields. They were away running for their lives, that they did not farm for a whole year. Fields were overgrown, crops were, that did harvest, they were eaten by the militia, by soldiers. And so they lost all that, and they lost a lot of farm uh, um, instruments also. So that's if you lose your shovels and whatever hooks, rakes, and all that kind of stuff, that has to be replaced. And you can also have just thefts of your food. So there's a number of things that's going to be looking that we're going to have to look at from a standpoint to make sure that our farm is sustainable. We want it sustainable. We're not going to uh, want to be able to be continually putting money directly into that farm for years to come. We hope that it gets up on its feet and produce crops that they can sell to the public, hopefully at a uh, reduced price, but a price that they make a profit and make a reserve. Also, you have negligence on farming. There's a lot of experiment stuff going on now to improve small whole farmers. Those are the farmers that don't have a lot of acreage. But that is how that family would be making its money. Uh, is by being able to sell a little corn, a little manioc, and also that's is how they eat. So you have that case of if something happens, for instance, let's say if there's no transportation, you can't get your products to market, or if you get your products to market really late, uh, you may not be able to sell them, or you sell them at a reduced price. So transportation is going to be one of the big things that we're looking at, and making sure that we have backup plans. Currently, we have a backup plan. Number one now is that you have the train. However, the train has been known to not run for months, but there is a road, and so we would have to make sure that once the crop is produced, we need it to get to market, because if you can't get to market, that's you just produce food and that nobody can use. Also, since we're going to be experimenting with some things to improve the production, we're going to be doing some, what's the best practices? And I assume that as we're practicing and experimenting, some things are not going to be as uh, the outcome is not going to be as great as we thought it would be, and some of it will be maybe, hopefully not disaster, but reduced crop yields. So that's another problem that you have to worry about. So how we going to get past that? I think what the biggest thing we're going to do is we will self insure ourselves, meaning to say we would try to save a larger cash reserve in case those things come up. And I think that's the main thing that people do in a situation like that where they don't have a organized insurance. You would just hope that you got, you know, you know, another enough savings saved up that you can produce another crop, and uh, uh, maybe another two crops or whatever the case may be. In the case of if you're in a war situation, those things don't end quickly, so you may need enough for a whole year of crops and stuff like that. Also, one of the interesting things is if we can become not only a service and a resource to the other farmers, we maybe can produce a co-op, and that co-op would be more people involved, and so you can share the risk, share uh, the you know the risk that would be involved with that. However, if they're in the same area, you have to look at it from the standpoint of if you're in the same area, the same war may affect you, the same uh, uh, drought may be the same. The same uh, floods may affect you, but it may be a little bit isolated where you may have some people who are able to achieve a greater profit and stuff. So that's some of the things that we're thinking about. So we're going to be writing all this stuff down and covering it. I'd like now to thank you for stopping by, and we're going to continue on this march of trying to lay out the plans to start this farm project in the Congo. Thank you again, and we will see you later. Take care. Make sure you wash your hands, socially distance yourself, and wear your mask. And we will talk with you later.